Yang berbahagia Profesor Tan Sri Dato Seri Dr. Noor Azlan Ghazali, Pengarah Institut Pembangunan dan Kemajuan Inklusif Malaysia, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Profesor Dato Dr. Ahmad Ibrahim, Pengarah Pusat Tan Sri Omar Center for STI Policy Studies, UCSI University. Yang berbahagia Datuk Profesor Emeritus Dr. Zakariah Abdul Rashid, Pakar Ekonomi dan Profesor Ejang di Pusat Pengajian Pembangunan Ungu Aziz, Universiti Malaya. Yang berbahagia Dato' Nik Ahmad Faizul Abdul Mallek, Mantan Pengarah Program Nasional Malaysian Industry Government Group for Higher Technology. Yang berusaha Encik Muhammad Radzuan Abdul Halim, Ahli Academic Advisor Council, Economy Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia. Tetamu jemputan pengurusan tertinggi universiti, seterusnya hadirin yang dihormati sekalian, selamat datang ke Forum State of Nations Economy, The Way Forward, anjuran Pusat Pengajian Pembangunan Ungu Aziz, Universiti Malaya. Hadirin yang dihormati, bagi memberkati majlis kita pada pagi ini, majlis dengan segala hormatnya menjemput Saudara Izzuddin Muhammad daripada Pusat Pembangunan Ungu Aziz, Universiti Malaya untuk memimpin bacaan doa. Persilakan.
Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma ighfir lana dhunubana wa li ikhwanina alladziina sabaquna bil iman wa la taj'al fi qulubina ghillan lil ladziina amanu. Rabbana innaka ra'ufur rahim. Ya Allah, ya Rahman, ya Rahim, kami yang merafakkan kesyukuran kepadamu atas pertemuan kami pada hari ini. Jadikanlah kami hamba-hamba-Mu yang sentiasa bersyukur terhadap rezeki dan kurnia-Mu. Sesungguhnya Engkaulah Tuhan yang Maha Memberi. Ya Fattah, ya Alim, kami berhimpun hari ini untuk menjadikan forum State of the Nation's Economy The Way Forward. Maka Kau memudahkanlah majlis ini supaya ia berjalan dengan lancar. Kami ingin menimba ilmu sebanyak mungkin supaya kami mampu memperkembangkan potensi kami sehingga menjadi hamba-Mu yang Kau redha. Ya Allah, kurniakanlah ilmu kepada kami, sinarilah hati-hati kami dan hidayah-Mu. Sesungguhnya Engkaulah Tuhan yang Maha mendengar lagi Maha mengetahui. Ya Zal Jalal wal Ikram, hadiahkanlah kepada kami kesihatan badan, kecerdasan minda, ketenangan jiwa dan kekuatan semangat. Kami memohon kepada Engkau, ya Allah, bantulah kami dalam menghadapi segala cabaran, ringankanlah beban kami. Sesungguhnya Engkaulah yang Maha berkuasa. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi washabbihi wasallam. Walhamdulillahirabbil alamin.
Amin amin ya rabbal alamin. Terima kasih diucapkan. Thank you to Mr. Izzuddin. Hadirin yang dihormati, bagi meneruskan atau cara majlis dengan segala hormat mempersilakan yang berbahagia Profesor dan Seri Dr. Zuhaizah Halim Datuk Muhammad Zalani, Pengarah Pusat Pengajian Pembangunan Ungu Aziz, Universiti Malaya untuk menyampaikan ucapan beliau. Majlis dengan segala hormatnya menjemput. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, will now open the ceremony with the welcoming remark by the directors of the Ungu Aziz Center for Development Studies, Universiti Malaya. Yang berbahagia Profesor dan Seri Dr. Zuhaizah Halim Datuk Muhammad Zalani. Prof.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan very good morning to all the distinguished guests, panelists as well, ladies and gentlemen. Yang berbahagia Datuk Seri Mustafa Muhammad, Penasihat Ekonomi dan Kezikiran Pusat Aziz Malaya. Yang berbahagia Datuk Prof Ahmad Ibrahim, Pengarah Pusat Tan Sri Omar UCSI. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Sri Prof Dr. Noor Azlan Ghazali, Pengarah Institut Pembangunan dan Kemajuan Inklusi Malaysia UKM. Alhamdulillah, welcome to Sinaya and welcome to the program today, titled on the state of the nation's economy, the way forward. Apologize from our BC and our TNC, they are not able to join the session today due to the prior commitments. Kita bersyukur pada pagi ini diberi rahmat dan juga ruang untuk berkumpul di pagi ini untuk mendengar ataupun berkongsi views and thoughts about the nation's development, so that we can put a way forward on how we can face the challenges ahead. And I would like to extend our appreciation and thanks to all the panelists, as I mentioned, Dato, Tan Sri Datuk Sri Azlan, and then we have here Dato Moderator Dr. Zakariah, and we have here Datuk Ahmad, Faizul, Abdul, Mallek, and also Yang Besar Encik Muhammad Radzuan for their time to be able to join the session today. So with the presence of all these panelists, we can see the commitment to share their thoughts and views in terms of how we can help the government in terms of strengthening the economic development, and that would be perhaps inspire us to again support government initiatives towards the economic development growth. Okay, why UAC is proposing this title? I think we know that lately we have lots of challenges, and perhaps we need to show that Malaysia is well prepared to overcome all these challenges. And I believe the semangat daripada Ungu Abu Aziz, because we are from the Pusat Ungu Aziz, so together we'll make sure that the contents of the forum today will be documented and will be put forward to the Kementerian Ekonomi as our policy brief. So it's not just a session that we don't have the tangible output. And I would like to share the progress that we have at the center. As I said, it's a legacy of the late Uncle Aziz, and we are so active in terms of the research. Lately, we have actually completed a project on the poverty policy, and we're not only active in research, but also we started to involve or engage in the community development. Thank you to Prof as the Minister of the Higher Education. It was in 2006. UAC been established as a think tank to the government to help to get the solutions to the issues regarding to the economic problems. So, and we are bring forward those aims and visions until now, and Alhamdulillah, UAC is quite active in terms of research, in terms of the community development. And if you can go to our website and Facebook, we have lots of forums, seminars, we have public lectures, and then please join our forums or our programs in the future. And as you can see, we have the booth on the Kuda cookies. That is the product from our pembangunan community, from the PPR from Kerinci, PPR from Taman Muhibah, PPR from Taman Mulia. So I would say we keep the spirit of our Uncle Aziz to help together in terms of helping the nation, helping the community to eradicate the poverty. So in line with the SDG aspirations, talking about the poverty eradications, I think UAC will play a very important role together with all the experts that we have in UAC, including Dato Zakariah, we have Dato Ahmad, Ibrahim, we have especially Topa as our advisor, and perhaps in the future we can have Tan Sri to be as our chairman, Tan Sri, insyaAllah. Okay, so I won't take so long, but I will have some support from the audience today. Be active in the forum, share the thoughts, share the view by listening to the forum from the panelists. So perhaps we will get the policy brief to be documented and put forward to government later on. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih diucapkan kepada yang berbahagia Profesor Datin Seri di atas ucapan yang disampaikan. Thank you to yang berbahagia Profesor Datin Seri. Hadirin yang dihormati, Majlis dengan segala hormat yang mempersilakan Yang berbahagia Profesor Dato Dr. Ahmad Ibrahim, Pengarah Pusat Tan Sri Omar Center for STI Policy Studies UCSI University untuk menyampaikan ucapan beliau. Majlis dengan segala hormat yang bersilakan. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to invite Yang berbahagia Profesor Dato Dr. Ahmad Ibrahim, Director of the Tan Sri Omar Center for STI Policy Studies UCSI University, to deliver his speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Datuk Sri Mustafa, Tan Sri Noor, Azlan, and friends. First of all, I'd like to thank Ghazali Center for being willing to partner with Tan Sri Omar Center. I actually established the Tan Sri Omar Center in UCSI University about 3 years ago, trying to push for more research on policy studies. But there is an inertia that we need to overcome. I'm glad that I now partner with UAC to move this agenda about issues of national interest. And of course, everything, whatever you do, everything boils down to economy. That's why I decided, I proposed to UAC to hold this forum. And we talk about economy, we cannot forget the contributions of Royal Professor Quazis. I have spoken to some young people, they don't even know him. So I think we need to create the brand. I was proposing to Prof. Suhaisa, we should make this a regular thing and we call it Unko Aziz Economy Forum. So we do it on a regular basis, every quarter, every 6 months, because there are many economic issues that need to be deliberated on. We have top-class economists in the country. So this is one way we contribute ideas to the country. And we talk about Tan Sri Omar is also one of our great minds in science. That's why I decided to create this, establish with the support of UCSI University, to get people to know about these legendary figures in our society who has initiated things of importance to the country. So thank you once again to the panelists. We have a very prominent panelist here. Radzuan actually is my classmate for 7 years in Mallek College, and he is one of our top economists in the country. Dato Zakariah, of course, you always see him on Astro Awani, and of course, Tan Sri Azlan, and Faizul, Dato Faizul, also a colleague from early days in Mind. So we are assembling this, and we are inviting more and more economists for future forum to deliberate on issues that matters to the country. Thank you once again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih diucapkan kepada Yang berbahagia Profesor Dato di atas ucapan yang disampaikan. Thank you to Yang berbahagia Profesor Dato. Hadirin yang dihormati, majlis diteruskan dengan ucapan yang akan disampaikan oleh Yang berbahagia Profesor Tan Sri Dato Seri Dr. Noor Azlan Ghazali, Pengarah Institut Pembangunan dan Kemajuan Inklusif Malaysia, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to invite our keynote speaker, Yang berbahagia Profesor Tan Sri Dato Seri Dr. Noor Azlan Ghazali, the Director of the Malaysian Inclusive Development and Advancement Institute, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, to deliver his keynote address.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih saudara pengurusi majlis. Very good morning to all of you. Yang saya hormati, banyak saya belajar dari Datuk Seri Ahmad, mantan menteri dan juga nasihat kepada Muazzis Center di Sungai, Prof. Datin Seri Suhaisa, Dato for the center. Thank you very much for the invitation. Prof. Dato Ibrahim juga banyak yang pengalaman di sini. Prof. Dato Ibrahim dekat Oma Center for Policy Studies. Datuk ni Ahmad Faizul. So we work together some time back when he was at mine. Prof. Dato Zakariah, also someone that I learned a lot. We've been working together a lot, especially during your MIR days. Mr. Mohd Radzuan, Abdul Halim, noticed that you were with IRIA. Actually, I was involved in IRIA. Previously, I was the board of governance for IRIA, based in Indonesia. So again, we are coming here to talk probably more about challenges, right? So you bear in mind, please bear patient with me, because probably I'm going to drop few, not nuclear bomb, but few bombs enough for us to stay awake until about 10 to 30 minutes and we continue by the panel. You can guess, State of Nations of Economy, I titled it to be inside the box. So that I think let us put a very clear objective, sharing essentially to take the nation forward. We are not here basically to address who made the problem, who created problems, but we want to make sure that the nation is on the right track. We rightly understand the situation that we are facing. Of course, we all agree that problem will never end. There will be problem as we progress. When you are poor, you have problem of not enough food to eat. When you become so rich, you have problem of too much food that you inherited. So there are a lot of problems there. So allow me to run through some of the state of the economy that probably now kind of every now and then you hear, especially representative from the government, the prime ministers, the ministers were talking about the situation of the economy today. They are all right, but let me also highlight you. Minda UCAM, just to make a quick introduction, is a Malaysian Inclusive Development and Advancement Institute. I whispered to Tinsley just now, well, that Ahmad says that there will be quarterly meeting between Omar Policy Studies and Ghazali. Why not you take in Minda as well? So that we can do tripartite, and hopefully every 6 months we can have a session with our Prime Minister, come together. I can take advancement subject, that Tinsley will take more development and policy subject, and the Ahmad take more science and technology subject. I think it's good. The more engagement we have, the better it is for the country. So, this is Malaysia. Okay, there's kursi itu dia agak menghalang sikit, tapi tak apa, lepas itu nampak. When you look at Malaysia way back, I purposely pick up 1990 because that is where the Vision 2020 started. When you mention to the rest of the world that the economy is growing on average at 5.3% or something around that for the last 30 years, 1990 to 2020, definitely everybody will clap hands. In fact, in 2008, the World Bank, you can Google this, there is a growth report commissioned by the World Bank that somehow narrowed down to 13 countries that are considered to be miracle, not miracle in the sense of luck, but miracle in the sense of doing it right. And in that report, if you want to Google, you Google growth report, World Bank 2008. You will see the report named Malaysia as one of the countries that are, out of 13 countries in the world. And these studies are not simple studies. It involves Nobel laureates, it involves world leaders of economics and so on. So everybody is praising Malaysia in that sense. Yeah? Over that period, we have 4 crisis situations, 1997-98, a little bit of a slowdown, dot-com crisis 2001, and then we have global financial crisis 2008-2009, and the most recent is the COVID-19 crisis. I always put this chart first to make sure that every one of us understand that when we talk about crisis in Malaysia, most of them, almost all of them, are triggered or connected to something external to us. You can't deal with COVID. That's not your problem. Basically, that it gets to the economy. But to what extent does that pull down our economy has a lot to do with the status of our economy at the time, and also the structure of our economy. Global financial, if we talk about financial crisis 97-98, for example, right? Yes, record says that it started somewhere in Bangkok, somewhere in Korea, but when it came and landed in Malaysia, we do have the same problems. Meaning that we have a lot of external borrowing, there's a lot of loopholes in terms of our banking and financial institutions. And after that, we have all these new rules and regulations coming in. Right? When we look at, for example, the dot-com crisis, we are largely involved at that time as a major exporter of something to do with electronic and so on, and therefore we were hit. Singapore was hit even worse than us. When we look at global financial crisis, it's a lot more, it's a little bit less from inside, because we learned from the 97-98 crisis. We somehow amended a few things. Our financial system pretty much there, but the global situation really put us down, because we are a country, small and open economy. We are very small relatively to the rest of the world. Therefore, anything happen abroad, that it will hurt us. 97, the COVID-19 crisis, that is the time where myself was seconded to EAC. I worked closely with Datuk. What I noticed is that though it is a health situation, the pandemic, but the actions that we take, plus the situation in our economy, there's a little bit of it. For example, that we want, I remember that when we want to extend some support for the affected groups, we start to see that all of a sudden we have no idea about our informal economies. We don't know who they are. You know, certain sectors are not governed by the certain. Yes, we give the moratorium for the banks, but not for the lending institutions that come under different acts. You know, a lot of taxi drivers, bus drivers, factoring, leasing are not covered because they are not under a traditional banking system. So you see that there are some element of structure, and we start to notice that how resilient, or in terms of the strength, the ability of the nation, be it at the household level, be it also at the firms level, that they are very much vulnerable, exposed to the shocks. So things are okay when things are smooth, but if any shocks comes in, they will be affected. So, but still, we see that it growth and food. And most recent, yesterday, a few days back, Ghazali announced, Dato and Ghazali announced 5.9%, and there's a lot of the so-called good moods now are saying that we are on the right trajectory. So if you look at this, fantastic, we are doing okay. If you look at a longer term, the dream of course to become a high income nation, Vision 2020, we started having a gap of 59%. And though we are not reaching that yet, but if you look at the trajectory, if your eyes are more careful and looking at somewhere 2014, 2015, the trajectory goes like that and then it flattens. You see that? It goes like that and then it flattens, right? So there's some losing of momentum at the end of it. But still, we are about 11%. That's the point that the pointers have been point to. Had they closed up, probably we will celebrate 2020 a lot better. But unfortunately, when we come to 2020, we say that we are not there. But still, I believe that numbers is one thing, but the fact that we are able to close the gap to 11% is something phenomenal in a sense. And if this trajectory continues, no doubt, even when Negara said that, the World Bank said that in their report, aspirations, 2024 to 2028. But these are numbers saying that you are a high income country, right? Of course, we want to be there, but let us try to understand what is behind that. Workforce-wise, now we are at a record high. 15.8 million people are working, with 17.1 million of workforce. That is fantastic. And if you look at the unemployment rate, around 3.4% on average. Of course, during the crisis there are problems, but on average, if you say that we are at 3.4%, economists probably will come to the conclusion that most of the time you are at the full employment level. You might not be 100% full, but you are so close to the full unemployment level. I mean, those who study economics a bit more, they understand what it means. It does not mean that inflation is sifar. Please throw away all this sifar thing is meaningless. When someone say inflation sifar, miskin sifar, all the sifar thing is actually all fallacy, dongeng. There is no such thing as sifar in the world economy. In fact, when the economy is at 3.4% unemployment rate, you should not be even more than that. If you try to push harder, and then I blend a little bit of economic and classes in economic class. I think there are PhD students, master students here. No, in fact, my distinguished guest, I'm so sorry for bringing this. If some of you remember a little bit of Phillips curve, right? You understand that you push hard. If you push further down, if you try to make it sifar, one thing the first will come is that inflation will come. So you have to have a little bit of effort. Though I don't subscribe in full the Phillips curve, but there are some elements of that. And again, labor force are great, things are great. Many reports now saying that unemployment now back to the rates. In fact, likely will be maybe around 3%. Not reaching 4%, meaning that it comes down after the COVID-19 crisis. So things are good in terms of the labor market and employment. Inflation. Yesterday I was there in PICC. We were narrating that he met a few, I think, two ministers or head of strategy, something like that, from Turkey. If you heard the speech yesterday, PM said that when he asked what's the problem, he said that we have some problem with cost of living. But Turkey, their inflation rate is 40%. And therefore, wow, 40%, what is that? 2.6%. We are here at on average of 2.6%. There are a couple of points. Again, I purposely want to relate this because I know there are some students here. You need to see this, the working of the economy and the situation of the economy. The two red dots are very much associated to what we call stagflation. The economy is stagnant and inflation is high. That is the most difficult situation for policymakers because you don't have that aggregate demand which are policy rules. If you want to push, you want to relax monetary policy, you want to inject more fiscal, it might cure the demand, but it also will push inflation higher. So that becomes the challenge to the Keynesian perspective. But if you look at the green dots, that is typical. When the economy is go down, inflation will go down. So again, if you really love inflation sifar, the best sifar is COVID-19. It's negative. No, in the sifar, it's negative, right? If you believe that lower and lower inflation is the best thing to do, then you will be coming to this situation. It's easy to bring down inflation. Trust me, it's easy to bring down inflation. Just make your economy slow down. So inflation sifar is a fallacy. Don't think about it. It sounds nice, but actually it's wrong. No, one of the lowest inflation in the world is Japan. Look at the stagnant economy for years. The inflation is coming close to zero. At one point, Truman was saying that the role of the Central Bank of Japan is actually to convince the public that inflation will be higher next year. Can you imagine our Central Bank governor come up and say that, we will make sure inflation is higher next year. I think you'll be fired the next year. But that was what Truman was telling. These are Nobel laureates were telling that the prime rule at that time, a few years back from now, some time back, the role of the Central Bank of Japan is to convince the public that inflation is going to be high. So do not interpret inflation just like that, meaning that going down is always good. Please be careful with that. Sometimes, in fact, I raised in my view that maybe the inflation is too low because the economy is not picking up. Or is it really that the economy is moving up and then things are good? So be careful with the economy. We are good at cheating people as well. You can make it good, you can make it bad. But latest is 1.8%. Literacy and education, again, where the minister said that the 10 years blueprint are successfully delivered. Literacy rate, enrollment, and so on are high. Though the tertiary enrollment actually we are picking up, but we are still very far from a high, more advanced nation. But broadly, if you talk about literacy, if you talk about access to education, that's no longer our problem and challenges. There's a little bit of people who are skipping classes, not able to attend schools and so on. But I think you will agree with me. In Malaysia, if you drove around the country, everywhere you see schools. In fact, school also guna untuk banjir, untuk pilihan raya, many other things that schools serve other than just education. But education was really great. I remember I went to Cambodia and passing through villages. If you look only at the physical structure of the school, and you see the kids went to school just like tak pakai kasut dan sebagainya. You can imagine that, wow, it's so much different than the situation in Malaysia, right? Economy-wide poverty, Prof. Zakariah will definitely be working on this. If you look way back in 1970, 49%, it goes down when we revise the methodology a little bit, now around 5.6 to 6.2%. And then the hardcore also declined, but broadly, we can say that inflation, poverty in that sense is over. There might be some pocketed poverty, but broadly it's over. And in fact, I think recently, a few years back, I mentioned that menoktakkan kemiskinan negara. So therefore we need to see how far what the problem. But there are a lot of initiative pendapatan rakyat IPR now being executed by Ministry of Economics and so on. But again, you're not seeing. I remember that when your first chair of Professor Zakariah came to Malaysia, I think at that time belum ada center lagi. I was in the M10 then, So I remember that we brought Zakariah to Bali, to Sabah, Sarawak. And then when he came back in the kind of a debriefing or session, he said, if I recall it right, this is the close over lunch kind of session. He said, I don't see poverty. That's what I said to him. He said, we brought you to the worst poverty in Malaysia. I still saw refrigerators, I saw television, I saw motorcycles. They all mostly have electricity, they have food. None of them can pulang keraka. What he has seen in African countries probably poverty that kills, but not so much in Malaysia in that sense. But still, we do have poverty. Let's admit that. But it is now a lot more decline. That's why this first chart. If you show the first chart, I remember I shared in the MPCP program with leaders and economists from third world countries that come to Malaysia to learn about things. They were so impressed with this. 49%, almost half of the nation are poverty, and now you are able to bring it down. If you look at some other countries that are basically, in African countries or some other poor nations, they are still struggling with this, with this problem. So in that sense, we are progressing. Revenue and tax collection. Of course, I'm looking at one side. Again, it's all record high. It's record high. You can't deny that. Revenue is picking up. You imagine that way in 1990 is only about 30 billion. Now it's 310 billion. That's a lot. In terms of the increment, in terms of the revenue, meaning that for the government, you are earning more. There's a lot more revenues that come to you, and on top of that, the tax collection is also increasing from about 17 billion to 250 billion. Well, if you look, it's just like if I look on one side that, hey, I'm now a lot richer than last 30 years. But of course, if I look on my left side, what is my expenses, then you start to have problems, right? But anyway, there are some good, in terms of income generation for the government to be able to run the development of the country. Now, this is what I have shown to you. A very beautiful island, nice for vacation, very serene and so on. How you wish to go there, but when you come there, you might see this. There are a lot of metaphor of this. Sometimes people talk about forest and tree, right? When you look at the overall thing, look good. When you come closer, it might be different. I am not trying to say that we are as bad as that, but for the purpose of the meeting today, more so this is at a very prestigious University Malaya, let us allow that scholarly provoking a bit, right? So that we aim to be better. Let's not just satisfy with whatever that we have. Now, let me bring you to the other aspect. So I have shared with you that about 6 of them, but growth, income, poverty, education, and so on and so on. And it was good. If I stop the report there, then I will go out and say that these are marvelous nation, we are doing great, no problems, everything is right, just continue as is for people like that. Are we expect that? That's a challenge, no? Or maybe what are the issues that are remaining, in terms of the Malaysian farm? Now, let's go inside the box. The moment you put growth and income with respect to the states, the question is that who or which states are producing growth. Then you see only 4 states. Basically in the red, they are on the northeast zone. Selangor, KL, Johor, Penang. Sometimes Malacca go to the right, sometimes Malacca go to the back a little bit. But what I'm trying to share is that these are the so-called the locomotive states that are basically responsible to almost 60% of Malaysian GDP. If anything goes wrong with these states, we will be in difficulties. And more worrying is that there are about 9 states actually on the lower left quadrant. Slow growth, low income. Those are the blue. And they contribute very minimal to the economy. On the right side, the charts on the right is trying just to give some idea about proportionality, meaning that what is the percentage of your population and how much do you contribute to the economy. If you look at Selangor way up there, I mean it's pretty much close to the line, KL, Putrajaya and Penang. Sarawak, Malacca, and things like that will be on the line. But please bear in mind that though when I mentioned Sarawak is on the line, meaning that the population is maybe around 8% and the economy is contributing around 9%. That's what I mean. I'm not saying it's okay, but proportionately, if you own 20% of the population, hopefully you can also produce 20% of the economy, or you want to do it better. And you see there are so many countries on the lower side, meaning that the population are not reflecting the contribution of the economy. Of course, there are many other issues in terms of age, infrastructure, and so on. But broadly, what we are saying is that this growth is, to me, is a very risky growth. The economy is growing, no doubt. But if you do the survey, you targeted at the blue bubbles. It's just like when you go to the hospitals. You do the survey only at the hospitals. You ask how many of you are healthy. The answer is no one is healthy, right? Because they are all people who are not healthy, that's why they are in the hospitals. So if you go to the blue bubble states, they will say that there's no progress. I don't feel it. Yes, investment are coming, all the large MNCs are coming, but that does have nothing to do with my life. I mean, Datuk, I remember sitting down with you in your office, you were saying that look at Putrajaya, but sorry, I used you, you mentioned it. Let's think about Jeli. Was the insurance package? So we have this kind of disparity, this kind of thing. What I wish to see is that the blue bubbles move to the upper northeast. So what it means is that we cannot take it just for granted and hoping that it will happen. It cannot. These kind of structural issues need a more dedicated intervention. Dedicated. It cannot be by hoping that something will happen. No, it will not happen. Trust me, if you do nothing, that even it might go that way, to get both end directions, and you start to have problems. When you go to the blue bubble state, you say that the nation is actually only 11% to be a high-income nation. None of them will believe you. Though the numbers are saying that yes, we are only 11% to become a high-income nation. That's why sometimes in some meetings I say that my worries is that World Bank will shout and say, congratulations Malaysia, you are now a high income economy. And this state will say, what's going on here? Do you remember a few months back when the World Bank, I can't remember who, but I have the report with me, appears in the news saying that Sarawak is a high income state. And that is a problem with economies. Huh? When you take, when there are 10 people, one person, the rest are not earning anything, one person earns 1,000, the per capita is 100. But if you ask the first 9% who are not working at all, earn 0, you see where is that 100? Because you take the average per capita, there's a problem there. So this is growth problems. Tadi kita nampak growth are good, but growth, there are problems. I want to introduce to you, I wonder this could be some of you have seen it. I'm a person who champions complexity a lot. I think the question is that what drives our growth? That's a challenge. That's another challenge. Because you can grow by having a lot of natural resources in you. There are many high income countries, especially in the Middle East, they are very high income, but they are not advanced. They only have oil, somewhere down there, therefore their income is very high. But if you look at it, the advancements are not there. So the challenge for advancement is a different question. When you see growth is growing up, it is yet to confirm that you are advancing. Very challenging statement, right? Very challenging statement. Because sometimes I think in Malaysia we over-enjoy the growth. When growth are good, we thought that everything is okay. No, it is not. So the subject of complexity, you are familiar with Legos, small box and larger box. The smaller box, you can only do one model. The middle one, the larger one, you can do more. Of course, maybe the frontliners did play with Lego. Myself, I introduced to Lego when I'm only 20 years old. Some of you are young, your kids are playing with Lego, right? So, Mama, please buy me more Lego. Tama-tama dia pergi Lego, dia tengok beli kotak kecil nampak apa. So, these are the metaphor used by Osman and Dato, the two founders of complexity. What does it mean? It means that the products that you produce basically reflect the capabilities that you have. So, what is that you produce, that you manufacture or you generate? What is that you produce will reflect the capabilities. The know-how is not known, it's not seen, but the products that you export actually matters. Last year, LIMP 2030, please grab this document. BT launched this, PM launched this, and the first mission number 1, jangan main-main, there are 4 missions. The first mission is advancing economic complexity. I'm a little bit now promoting complexity to all of you because there's another half of Putrajaya is talking about high growth, high value. Little confusion between complexity and high growth, high value. There are things that can give you high growth, high value, but it's not complex. Don't get credit with that. Don't get credit with that. So complexity is all about your capabilities. It's not about the product that you have. It's not about the natural endowment that you have. Not because kelapa sawit is so good in Malaysia, therefore you just do kelapa sawit forever. Trust me, if I will not show it here. If I show to you the complexity of kelapa sawit, you will be surprised to know that if you do kelapa sawit forever, nowhere else that you can do. Because there are involvement, there are dynamics in economy. You cannot stay with one product forever. If you go along complexity, what you can do here, it will allow you to produce a lot more products that are complex. That's why these are very, that it brings you to, there's a concept of what we call product space. I didn't show it here, but the idea is that you have to build on capabilities so that you are able to produce a product that will allow you to produce more products, which is more complex. Because there are dynamics in things. When you start yourself with rubber, with tin forever, then you stop. You can't go anywhere. Some product allow you to go somewhere, some product does not. And be careful about complexity can come from the same categories of product. I'll show you shortly. Malaysia, and I just give you some challenging views. Malaysia's complexity now ranked at 2020, 2022, now it's 24 actually, going down a bit. Look at South Korea. It started at 21, 1995, and they are now number 4 in the world. Meaning that they have built, in simple terms, what it means is that the nation has built capabilities that allow them to do more complex products, more high value products. But Malaysia, yes, we improved, but not as much. Look at Vietnam. Yes, they were way behind, still way behind, but the country is progressing very fast in terms of complexity and also the volume of exports. If you compare the export, the colors actually tells you the product, but I don't want to go too much detail into that, but sufficient to say that, I mean, if we don't do it right, we will be left behind. Okay? This is a good way of looking. I'll just give you a glimpse. We are so used to the idea of telling our exports going up. We are so good at that. We are also used to tell our investment coming to the country is so good. But we are not used to say how much of our exports are complex. If you look on the right side, green means complex, brown is not complex. So, imagine you are manufacturing a car seat, I use a brand, sorry then, I just want to give illustration. A car seat for, let's say, Kanchi versus a car seat for Ferrari. Both will go into automotive, but one is complex, the other one is not complex. So, both are seats, both are automotive, but one is producing seats that can tell your lekuk-lekuk badan you and do massage and everything. The other one is just for you to sit down on it. So, but it means that even though they are in the same sectors, we will say that our export of automotive has increased. But does that mean that we are exporting a more complex products? So these are the challenges now. We need to change the way of looking at our progress from just mere sector-wise to the more complex. Because even in agriculture, there are agriculture which is not complex. There are agriculture which is complex. Right? So we are eating chicken yang biasa-biasa. Chicken yang organic goes to Singapore. Chicken organic is more complex than chicken biasa-biasa. You know some of the vegetables that does not suit the border, come back and go to our stomach, it's okay. Because some countries, they demand more quality, and that also means that producing that will require a more complex kind of work. Okay, right? So, recent global, competitiveness, I shared this in many places. I'm not trying to say that everything is bad. But what I'm trying to say is that there's a serious alarm out there. To me, this is no longer about like going down and going up, going down and going up. It's so clear that it's coming down. My worries is that for the last 10 years time, you look at 2014, we were ranked well, or whatever. You can challenge the methodology, that's fine. But probably people still quote this, right? What does it mean is that the reason I picked 2014, one is because 10 years, the other one because the recent Madani punya goal actually are aiming to be 12. It was stated clearly. You go to my Facebook, I wrote a lot about all this. And what you see is that there are 4 segments: economy, government, business, infra. Infra also include talents and education. Except for economic performance that remain probably because of those inflation, or employment, the one that I described to you, at number 8 in the world, not bad. But if you look from the other side, government efficiency, business efficiency are all in a very, very, very bad situation. I hope I'm not exaggerating because these are only out of 67 countries. It's not 120 countries. I only monitor about 67 countries. We are somewhere in the middle now. In 10 years, from 12 to 34, that is what? That is 22, right? Am I right? 22, right? 12 to 34. So, if there's a big, I want to call big IF, if things didn't change, if we don't attend it, You add another 10 years, where will we be? If you think it happens the last 10 years, we lost 22 ranks. So you can say that the next 10 years, if you do nothing, you can possibly lose another 22. And 22 to 34 means what? 56. Someone will stand up here, or if I'm still healthy and say, you invite me again after 10 years and see whether. I'm not saying that it's going, I'm saying that if you don't attend it will go like that. Is this can be attended? Yes, but we want that to be attended. Who is attended? What is actually to be done? And when should we be able to see? We don't want to see just a 1 year like last year, 32, 27, we already celebrate. But then we go down. So that is life. We don't want that. We want to see the trajectory going up there. And if you look at on the right side, sub numbers too, 3 saja yang survive. The rest are all dropped. And to make it worse, the team of the 20 is basically less than the 30th ranking. Very bad. Very, very bad. Productivity and efficiency. Right? Yes, we attract investment, but how hard to explain it, right? Wages stagnant. Workers are getting small percentage of income. This thing appeared many times. Dalam rancangan Malaysia ke-12 pun ada sasaran. Now the economy madani is aiming at 45% from 33%. We are now back to somewhere around 2012 because of the COVID. But again, climbing up, we climb up from 2010 all the way to 37, then COVID comes and it goes down, and now you're coming up again. When I put this up to the industry, sometimes they have to scale us about what it means that you have to raise wages, right? But of course it goes along with productivity and so on. If you look at the Bank Negara report, I didn't bring it here, in 2018, go and read that report. There's a first box article that shows something that worries me. That chart is showing that even with higher productivity, careful with this, we want productivity. But the data shows that even at a higher productivity in Malaysia, productivity is not rewarded. So the progressive wage that Kementerian Ekonomi buat sekarang trying to improve productivity. You get subsidy, you get bantuan wage, you get a higher wage. Government injected some money to you get a higher wage, provided you go for productivity. But the problem is productivity are not rewarded. That chart, page 38, Bank Negara report 2018. That shows all sectors in Malaysia at the same level of productivity compared to the peer nations. We are very low. In a way, it explains why a little bit of people live in fail. You are talented, you have the capabilities, but you are not either equipped or rewarded for that talents and capabilities that you have. I met few, the so-called program of talent corp that trying to bring talents, I don't want to generalize, but I met few of them who have actually little that. Few of our talents, even from, I was a Basasa before the UKM, few of our great talents are probably few living in the countries. One of the first lady that became a professor was associate professor academic at Cambridge or Oxford, but the heart she also had. Big news in Malaysia. But of course, we might say that it's okay as long as there are Malaysian talents. But there are some truth for that. A lot of talents will go wherever they want, but the impact on country like us, you don't want to strongly promote the idea in the country. Talent Corp visited Harvard when I was there in Harvard. So I appear in talent talk program. I in class get. But then again, I apply for the break-in program that you bring back talent because I am now in Harvard. Interesting another talent. Another talent. Sorry, Prof. You are not qualified. Then why come to Harvard? Because we want people who stay longer than 3 years. Oh, that's good. Then I can stay 5 years here. This is the country. You want me to come back, but you ask me to stay longer. You know, I mean, this is a little funny. Talents actually does not recognize which country and so on. In Malaysia, there are a huge number of talented people. I think we should focus here rather than going out and searching for one of the best in the world to come back to Malaysia. After all, they come back here, we don't have equipments. The lady that can see yang work dengan NASA, yang dekat UK, is with my university. I mean, when I was a vice chancellor, I worked hard to bring her back. But I know that she said that. There's a support. The telescope that I mean is not here. You know, and very challenge. The problem is that in Malaysia, there's more talents. That has become an issue, right? But if you compare to the rest of the world, more advanced nation, especially, we are somewhere. But of course, I put green because actually this slide I used to look at between Malaysia last year and this year. That's like only that. Yeah. We want to go to 45, meaning we want to go to something like Sweden. That's what we want to do. Yeah. Malaysia wants to be an advanced nation, but the workforce are not reflecting an advanced workforce. That's again another challenge. You know, we all know the influx of foreign unskilled workforce. You know, I mean, it doesn't sound like, you know, if you put sugar, then you nampak semut datang. Right? So there must be sugar there. But Malaysian sugar is actually the semut is foreign workforce. We are the heaven for people who do not have talent. That is something seriously, it's a serious problem. I even strongly believe that the issue of wages and so on is actually have a lot to do with all this. Do we clear about what we want? You know, we are selling the idea that things can be cheap too much. Malaysia is murah. Murah means good. Free even better. You don't know that free is actually bad. You know, people want free. Kalau boleh semua nak free. But the truth is that it's not like that. That's not how the economy works. You know, I mean, you can help people, no doubt. I'm not denying about targeted help and so on. But you don't want to create the idea that I can make it free for everybody, which is very dangerous. You see the challenge that we have in terms of revising our subsidy scheme. I would agree with the government. We need a more targeted subsidy. How can we are selling? I remember, you know, last 2 years, last year I was in 6 months at Boston. I think harga minyak dekat surrounding my house. Wow, this is very expensive, but in Malaysia it's very cheap. We want to encourage people to use public transport, but we make petrol cheaper and cheaper. Trust me, who's going to go for public transport? So the idea of public transport is that if you cannot afford to buy a car, then you go public transport. So therefore, the goal is make you afford buy more cars and caught in the traffic jam to come to UM. It takes about 2 hours. You know, these are policy things out there. Right? And you see that job created are mostly middle kind of mid-level skill, semi-skilled work jobs created. And the underemployed, especially mostly graduates, kalau dulu about 1 million, now nearly 2 million. So yes, unemployment is going down, but you need to look inside the box of unemployment. What are the quality of employment? Yes, 15.8% are employed, they work, but be careful with the definitions of employment that is being used. Well, don't blame person, that is what we use in the standard. So if you work for a few hours, then you consider employed. So there are about 2 million tertiary holders who are working. By the data, it shows you are working, unemployment is going down, you are employed. But dalam hati dia, marah. The faster I can get a better job, I will go for it. These are graduates working, I mean, invested 3 years of their time. If you're familiar with the work of Abdul, this Nobel laureate who looked into the return on human capital. Simple. How much do you invest? I spent 3 more years investing in knowledge. What is the return that I get? You know, I think at Columbia, we had a pass away. You know, I'm looking at return on human capital. Meaning the idea you invest your time and money and earn and energy to get an additional knowledge or qualification, but how much in return that you are getting. Never underestimate the impact. The moment the nation start to think it's not worth going to the university, I'm hearing that already. There are parents who say that, no, janganlah mesti jadi content creator lebih baik. Luckily the recent content creator yang dapat award tu is pemenang tingkat emas UTV. Itu pun I think they're trying to copy the nation. Don't just simply jump to become content creator. You still need to invest in knowledge. That's why Carol, I mean, and the second guy, Carol, yang kenal sebab saya kenal dia. You know, so meaning that you need knowledge. We are talking about capabilities. We are talking about advancing the nation. It's all grounded on strong knowledge. We are not creating jobs. In some of the numbers that I didn't show here, in 2023, we are creating lebih kurang 130,000 pekerjaan. In my calculation, there's only about in 2023, 35,000 jobs out of the 100 plus jobs need someone with tertiary qualification. 35,000 jobs waiting for 300,000 graduates entering the market. Okay lah, you might say that graduates in Malaysia are bagus. Okay, then we take out another 100,000, they are lousy graduates. Fine enough, they just get paper, you still have 200,000 to fill in 35,000. Can you imagine what kind of competition it is? On top of that, the influx of talents from other parts. But these are real challenges in Malaysia. If you don't do nothing, trust me, 2017 to 2024 is only about 7 years, we at almost 1 million. Another 10 years, then insyaAllah kalau panjang pun saya tambah kita tengok nombor ni dari 3 million to over. Jangan main, Datuk Prof, I work a lot with Datuk was sharing with me, it was in 2004, 2005, you conduct the study of unemployed graduate, right? And at that time, it's a lot lower than this. And things are tripling up like that. So these are challenges, you know. I mean, yes, enrollment at tertiary are good, universities are producing hundreds of PhDs. I'm sorry to say this, you know, I'm involved in KPT now, you know, every year, I can't retrieve it now, but I have the numbers. We are creating about, like just I mean, research university alone, there are about 500 PhDs produced every year. So about 2,500 PhDs. You know, 2,500 PhD for a country like us, it should solve all the problems in the country. But where are the PhDs? You know that in Malaysia, the largest employer of PhD are the universities. We are the ones who can take them. Not the industries. Not the industries. Industries are not demanding that kind of complexity. I'm so sorry. Give me a bit more time. After all, there's a panel. We give a chance to the panel. But they take the way forward. I give the state of nation. The way forward, leave it there. I want to put a case here. You might challenge me. I'm okay. I think there is a serious confusion between inflation and cost of living. Bukan serious, bukan confused. It's a wrong interpretation. People always say that, hey, Malaysia, inflation rate 2% lah. Tak sampai tadi I show you the data, right? The inflation is not even 2%. Then why people are so marah-marah dengan cost of living? Because people are different. Inflation, okay, I eat chicken, you eat fish, right? 2% nation, 2% citizens in this world. I eat chicken, you eat fish. The price of chicken goes down, the price of fish goes up, 50% each. What is inflation? Zero, right? Inflation is zero. You interview me, I say that glad chicken is so cheap. But the person who eat fish will say that no way inflation is zero. My price of fish has increased by 50%. So cost of living and inflation are two different things. I know there are so many scientists here as well. Please, I'm not trying to give a lecture, but please bear in mind that inflation is an average prices. Cost of living is your lifestyle. What you need to afford that. If you ask the world, what is Malaysia? Malaysia is a very cheap country. Very cheap. You think of the world. In that we are kind of way on the right, meaning that one of the cheapest countries in the world. So cheap. Come to Malaysia. Indeed, it is cheap. Very cheap. I don't know, for some of you have been living abroad, you know how cheap is Malaysia. I had good experience living abroad. The most recent I stayed at Boston. Oh, mashallah. Mahalnya apartment dia. It's just like apartment kita. So expensive. But so for the rest of the world, look at us. Hey, Malaysia is very cheap. They come here, Malaysia says that it's so expensive to live in Malaysia. So what's the problem? The problem is not prices. I'm so sad to see when the government, whoever involved in it, is trying to push the price to go lower and lower and lower. You know what is the lowest of price? Free. Right. Lowest is give it free forever. There's nothing free in this world. When you get it free, government pay. When government pay, means I pay, you pay, everyone must pay. Right? Please don't get confused by saying that thank you government for making it free. Alhamdulillah. But you want means if you are the disabled group, that's fine. I am okay to support the poor. I'm okay to support the warga emas, orang yang OKU dan sebagainya. Those are fine. We need to give more help in that. But the challenge is when you put subsidy and help like this nationwide blanket without recognizing who you are, I think that you have problems. You look on the right side. The right side is alarming. The data is there, but sometimes I try to put it so that everyone understands. The right side is very, very alarming. What does it mean? It means that when you look in terms of quality of living, that's why when Dato said that there is no poverty here. Poor and comfortable are two different things. A lot of noises in Malaysia is not poor, that's true. The poverty index has gone down. But people are not living comfortably. That's what it means. People pressure. You know, you tengok the way, all these buildings, Grab right to bawah, people are living in pressure. What you see is that when you take median income, let me just stay away ambil yang belakangan sekali dengan Johor Bahru dengan yang belakangan. Ambil yang belakangan dulu, Kota Baru, Kelantan. The median household income is 4,330. So imagine I am 4,330, right? So what does it mean? What does it mean? The bar chart, what does it mean? It means that on my right side, there's another 50%, on my left side, there are another 50%. So I am in the middle. I am the household in the middle that earn 4,330. So, I feel happy. But, based on this Yusuf Layaknya Center working dengan EPF, belanjawanku, shows that if you live with the two kids, family with the two kids, you need in Kota Baru, you need 5520. So even someone in the middle, median, I'm not able to live comfortably. I'm not poor. Berbeza kan? Jadi berarti the challenge in the 70s and the challenge now are two different things. Those days probably is about poverty, now is probably about the quality of living. I mean, we need to kind of shift on that. In some countries, right in the middle, the one that I put about 50%, basically, if you are the median, you just have enough to have a comfortable life. That's why line there have some, the dogs don't do some. But what does it mean? It means that 50% below you are not comfortable. As simple as that. This chart is actually telling a lot. I mean, I can't even conclude that maybe more than half of Malaysian households are not living comfortably. They are not poor. They are not in poverty. but they are living under stress. That's why, sorry to get over ni ada meeting biometri dengan ahli-ahli akademik. There are few psychologists and medical doctors who are raising the issue of mental health. For them, they start seeing it so much. People are living in stress. You know? So these are the challenge of a country that are about 11% to become a high income nation. Berbeza dengan 1970, we are talking about poverty, right? Literacy, yes, is improved and so on, but quality again, I don't want to dwell much into this, but again, talents, quality, and if you look at the scatter plot on the lower left too, you see where is Malaysia and the rest on the northeast too is basically adalah negara-negara yang lebih berpendapatan tinggi. Jadi berarti there are serious issue with respect to talents. Another one. Sorry, a little messy, but I try to make it easy for you. When you look into a standard poverty on the other side, yes, poverty has gone down now, but that is 6.2 or something like that. But in some states, you still have 19% for Sabah. You know, Perak have about 7.5%, and Kelantan has 13.2%. So meaning that 6.2 is Malaysia. But if you look, there's so many states on the right side is actually having problem even worse than that. But itu, I know people who work on poverty, macam-macam kaedah lah, incident poverty, Gini lah, MD apa, multi-dimensional and so on. But let's take the simplest one lah, relative poverty. Relative poverty means, generally translated to be, this is a median, half of it. If you are down there, if you are half of it, below, you are relatively poor. That's why a country like us that about to become a high income nation, probably we need to spend more time on relative. That's why wawasan kemakmuran bersama is trying to focus on that. Because it is about how fast I can compare to others. No? Jadi what you see on the right side, then come the alarming part. If you measure relative poverty, meaning that people who earn less than the half of the median household income in that particular state, you see almost all the red box on the right is way above that. Meaning that poverty in relative terms is higher. But of course, we do not want to deny the fact that incidence of poverty has gone down. But the challenge like this, what I'm trying to show, I'm not trying to say that the report are wrong. No, please don't get me wrong about that. The report are totally right. But we want to bring more human meanings in the numbers. Human meanings, you know. Sometimes, like I work into economic data. Economic meaning, I'm employed. Human meaning, my salary is too bad. So you see that? You see the human part of economics. You know, jadi kalau kita nak cakap tentang kemanusiaan, economic data that bring human meaning is very important. Here, on the right side says that, yeah, I have income, I'm not poor, but the rest of the people are a lot richer than me. Something like that. Yeah? Maksudnya, oh, boleh saya tak boleh. Orang hari ini tak jalan dekat Batu Free, Pangkor, nak pergi Bandung, nak pergi Taiwan, nak pergi Vietnam, makanan ini kat sana. Jadi lifestyle also is a challenge, right? I just want to point out the green saja, saya letak green for Terengganu and Pahang, so that I don't want to confuse you by saying, oh, therefore Terengganu is good. No. Do you know why Terengganu and Pahang become so low? Because everybody is poor. You know, when relatively everybody is about the same, relatively you're okay lah. Tapi you're poor. Then don't copy your statistic number, it can be very confusing. Someone said, then let's model again Terengganu. No. Because when the richest people are also not that rich, then the relative poverty is a lot lower. So be careful with that. Ni kalau PhD work ni kita tembak terus. Last part I don't want to tell much, but sufficient for me to say that yes, record high revenue, yes, record high tax collection, but on the other side, expenses wise, we have problem. What we don't want ialah yang bawah tu yang kotak is that if operating expenses crossing. I don't know, it might cross very. But the idea is that simple. If it cross, if that bar chart down there goes to negative, what it means is that you don't have enough money even to eat and to pay your daily bills. That's what it means in economic terms. You know, you can buy houses, you buy house every 30 years, every 20 years, but you eat every day. OE is about everyday things. DE is about something that you invest for the longer term. Right? And end up, because we don't have enough left, therefore, most of our DE are on debt. But what we don't want ialah our DE, our debt is for OE. I don't know, but the number looks terlalu hampir sangat. Mungkin terbijak kat sana agak-agak Allah, I don't know. But you see the debt is coming up. The fiscal deficit, we do have experience of fiscal deficit, which is, like global financial crisis, it goes to about 6.3%, then it climb up to 3%. COVID bring it down further, then it's, I hope that trajectory is going up. So what the challenge is, if anything happens at this point in time, where we don't have enough buffer to borrow, then it will be a very serious issue. It's okay to borrow when the economy is in the bad position. Saya tak ada masalah. Pada saya, a responsible government should inject when the country are not able to spend. That's fine. Tak salah. Cuma you must make sure you have enough capabilities to borrow. Two things that you require to borrow. For one, why are you borrowing? And number two, can you pay back? Today, $1 that you earn, one ringgit that you earn, if I'm not mistaken, 18 sen atau hampir 20 sen untuk bayar. So meaning that the balance 80 sen perlu nak kena share with many other places. Itu hutang, tolak gaji, tolak subsidi, 30% saja untuk dia tak cukup dia punya. Alright, so that basically my sharing. Dengan malam tadi saya fikir apa conclusion saya kata this is the part economy. Our economy is growing good, but household income is increasing, but workforce is larger and unemployment is low, but inflation is low, but education and access is improving, but the box is bigger, but yes, the country is progressing okay. Overall, alhamdulillah, we live okay. But that part, I leave it to the next panel. Because we look inside the box, you think outside the box. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih diucapkan kepada yang berbahagia Profesor Tan Seri Datuk Seri Dr. Noor Azlan Ghazali di atas ucap tama yang disampaikan. Thank you to yang berbahagia Tan Seri Datuk Seri for delivering the keynote address. Hadirin yang dihormati, majlis dengan ini diteruskan dengan sesi perbincangan formal. Untuk itu majlis dengan segala hormatnya mempersilakan sekali lagi moderator bagi sesi bicara formal. Yang berbahagia Profesor Dato Dr. Ahmad Ibrahim, Pengarah Pusat Tan Sri Omar Center for SDI Policy Studies UCSI, bersama-sama dengan ahli panel forum. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Datuk Seri Profesor Dr. Noor Azlan Ghazali, yang berbahagia Dato Profesor Emeritus Dr. Zakariah Abdul Rashid, yang berbahagia Dato Ahmad Faizul Abdul Mallek, dan yang berusaha Encik Muhammad Radzuan Abdul Halim bagi mengambil tempat di atas pentas bagi memulakan sesi bicara forum. Dipersilakan.
Well, that was a really very exciting presentation by Tan Sri. So So now we know he gets all the invitation to this kind of forum, very elaborate. And of course, the end of the presentation, we live in the but column. But this is what we want to discuss now. Actually, what I want to do is, for the first part, we'll have views from the panel on the presentation by Ghazali, on all those contradictions. Then I have a few questions that I have shared for the panel again. Then we'll open up to the floor. So I hope to also get intervention on the floor, to raise questions, or to seek clarification. Okay, let us first start with the Dato, Professor Zakariah, who always has been commenting on various issues. Please give your take on what has been presented on this stage.
Straight to the back. You see, economics, the short term and long term. The short term is, especially economy of Malaysia, is subject to business cycle. So, small open economy, we trade quite a lot. Our GDP is determined significantly by our global environment, our trade, our export and import. And therefore, when the global business cycle going up, certainly we will also be going up. But when global economy or global business cycle trending downwards, we will also be experiencing downward trend. So I think this is where the problem is. When now, especially nowadays, these few months, when we say that our GDP is growing, our inflation is good, our employment is good. So I think this is because, most of the things because of the global business cycle. So we will always say the problem when the economy is going down, the business cycle is going down. But how we handle the situation when the economy is going down, the global business cycle is going down. This is where what we always refer to as economic resilience. Economic resilience. If our economy is strong enough, is resilient, then we can stand whatever things happens outside. So then we ask ourselves, what is the factor contributed to the resilience of the economy? Then we start asking that. And this is where I think most of us have some different ideas about this. And we always refer this as structure of the economy. And because the economy structurally is not in good shape, we say that we have a problem with the resilience of the economy. We have a problem with that. And what we mean by the structure of the economy, before that, when we want to offer the solution, we say that we have to do structural reform. And I think most people are not very clear what we mean by structural reform. From my training, what I mean by structural reform here is the economy. If you learn economics, the circular flow of income, right? We have a household account, we have a government account, we have a rest of the world account, right? So all this actually represent the structure of the economy. And then we start to go into each account and see whether we have a problem or not. For instance, you look at the first one. Our first one is a household sector, household account. Then I think Ghazali has elaborated this about the Malaysian household, Malaysian household who are suffering from low household income. He's quoted quite a lot about the median household income and about poverty rate, and also about the comparing the median household income with the living wage. Actually, if we refer to garis kemiskinan, then we say we are okay. But if we compare it with the living wage, I think this is where the problem of household sector, because they can't afford more than half, I think about 60% or nearly 70% of our household will not be able to meet their expenditure. Yet at the same time, we want to be high income economy. That's one on the household sector. And then you look at the government sector. The government sector is also same. Seri has mentioned about the fiscal problem. Fiscal account which has accumulated fiscal for fiscal deficit for so many years, and now we also have a problem of debt, government debt, and at the same time government expenditure, operating expenditure with a large amount of expenditure is concentrated on not only on the minimum but also on servicing the debt. Debt servicing is also quite a lot now. So that is the account number 2. Account number 3, balance of payment. The same thing. So the balance of payment, although we have a trade balance, but the trade balance now has become thinner and thinner. Trade balance become thinner and thinner. And if you look at the service account, it's always deficit all the time. And if you look at our trade also, as what Ghazali said just now, we are not looking at the export per se. When we look at our account, when we look at when we we look at our trade account, we see that our export has been growing so much, so certain percentage, our export. But actually, what we should ask is whether the export generate value added. You see, because let's say for $100 that we export, maybe especially for certain product that we are exporting called the EAE, the local value added is very small. That because why I emphasize on value added? Because this value added that will at the end of the day generate economic growth. Because if we don't look at this thing factor carefully, therefore when we increase our export or we experiencing an increase in export, but the export is actually benefit other countries, not us.
Okay, maybe we can go to the next panelist, Radzuan. I was just wondering, the numbers that we communicate to the people, are they reflecting the real economy? We talk about GDP growth, we talk about inflation. Maybe we should be questioning whether these numbers are truly reliable.
Get the deputy. Must thank Professor Ahmad for inviting me here. Actually, I'm no stranger to UM because I was a student here, and I also taught here for 1 year in 1998. But that's the business faculty and teaching law. So that's my connection with the EU. And also, I got to know Quasi's a little bit during my stay here. And also, he later became a director of the bank I was working for. So that's I'd like to commend Professor Azlan for his paper because it's brought back a lot of the figures back to me which I've been forgetting. So thanks for the comprehensive thing. But I'd like to just touch on a few things. One is first on the inflation. I think he was mentioning that inflation getting confused for cost of living. I think that's very true because inflation is inflation, but people have a certain idea of what they should be earning and what they are earning and what they are wanting. So in economics, we have what we call the demonstration effect, which is works very, what we call it, is a Dusanberry effect. People are looking at what are their neighbors spending on and what their reference points. So that, I think, is the crux of the problem with the Malaysian public, that they are not achieving what they want to spend on, the level of affordability. That's why you can see, like, they are chasing EPF for the withdrawal, which of course is very bad, but that's what they need because they want the money badly. And that is the thing about it. The second thing is on the Professor Azlan mentioning about the growth of the economy. And he keeps saying about, and also Professor Zakariah also said, growth is one thing, but what is the quality of the growth? And I think Malaysia, the problem is always been the quality of the growth. You can grow, so if you go by growth rate, we in Singapore, there's hardly anything to choose from because Singapore growth rate and ours is not that far different. But they have become an advanced nation in a way, but we have not. Because I think two things. One is the quality in the sense that quality of the things they do, the productivity of the people, the value added and all that, and also the leakages. We grow, but The growth is only on the GNP or the GDP, but the leakage is the loss. The loss is due to corruption, is due to bank failure, due to tabung haji's investment disappearing. So we look at because the GDP and the GNP only measure the income. Wages, salaries, we go by the income side, or you go by the sectors, or the agriculture, industry. So that is, I think, the main problem why we might not be able to enter the middle income status. To escape this middle income trap. According to professor which I used to follow, the Professor Dato, there has only been 2 or 3 countries that escaped the middle income trap. One is South Africa, where at the time he was writing his book. The other possibly is Taiwan, and another one is Singapore, which is a city state, so it's not comparable to the normal high population countries. So the problem with this escaping, that's the problem. You not only have to grow, but you have to grow in a quality way, and you must not have too much of leakages. So that's one. And then also to follow on what Professor Zakariah said about the balance of payment. I worry a lot about this because, as he says, the export over import balance is getting very, very thin. And you can see it's very thin because if you look at our national, our foreign bank reserves, it's been stuck at 114 billion or 112 billion for ages. Meanwhile, the level of the economy has grown so much. The GDP has multiplied, the export trade has multiplied, the debts have multiplied, and we are still stuck at 114 billion. So this is a very dangerous thing because now we are entering the stage where we are increasing salaries, government salaries and all that. So I worry about what is the forex implication of this, because everything we spend, we are importing. I think a lot of people don't realize this. If you go to supermarkets now, even the vegetables are imported from Thailand. Even our water supply is imported because you need chlorine and water equipment and pumping and all that. So, and making dams. So everything that we consume, we have to import. So that's one. And last,
what about this statement, Radzuan, that as mentioned by Nasri, that our productivity is not rewarded?
Well, I tell you very more about the thing they're doing activities. Because as we know, the countries that have progressed are the countries that have very high technical education levels. Because South Korea, they basically grew and they were more than a Japanese colony. Taiwan also, they were basically a Japanese colony before the Second World War. So they have a very highly technical education. Their employees know calculus, they know how to do technical drawings and all that. So they caught on very fast to the technology. We had a very good opportunity with the semiconductors because we were pioneers. So Kabina started, but we didn't go to the next step of doing the chip supports and all that, which Taiwanese and the South Koreans did.
Our complaint of the semiconductor is we have been always in the assembly part.
We have been doing the assembly, and because we don't have the workers, we go to that second tier
Design.
the post-terror. We were doing a very terror.
So how do we get out of this?
I think that has got to go on to the education level. What we are supposed to do, not technically proficient.
Okay. Maybe Dato can elaborate more on this.
Very much for the lecture, for inviting me. Yes, I'm here today more on our unfinished journey in society. So since I now been back in the private sector, so I want to be more perspective of private sector perspective, especially from the implementation perspective. I want to touch on last slide on the regulatory, the middle part of the capabilities, where I truly believe that takes our strength because of we have the capability, whether in private or in individual. The issue here is that how do we unleash this capability? And this capability basically, as we all know, is on the supply side. And which emphasizes more also in every our R&D plan. In plan we always access all of the capability. But what we have not done enough is basically market creation. We do talk about market driven, but are we creating a market? And we all know that we should maybe in the market, but how do we create market beyond mission? So these are the things, both of these sides are complex. So what we need at the program level is how to systemize this capacity. That I believe what we have not done yet at implementation level. As we know, we have lots of arcade plan which achieve lots of the supply side. But they are not actually having the connectivity on the market side. So that's where reason why that from the here is that cities 80% of GDP for cities. So we do not invest much into cities to address the climate change. So how do we actually export our capabilities? That we have not got strong internationalization program apart from the level activity that Madrid has been promoting. We have to enter at the program level, strategy level, because of country development, and down to create projects with our technology capabilities. As we all know, Commando has been doing a lot after our economic and government transformation. They have been doing a lot in other countries, but they are not exporting follow-up our programs to enter at the program level and down.
Right.
This connectivity, because we don't systemize the way we develop our development or the new economies. So to me, systemization is important. If you add the R&D plan, a lot of good strategy, game changing, all this very technical. But the issue here is that we stop there. The strategy on how to implement is left to the ministry. So what I suggest that for the 13-mission plan, very crucial plan, government needs to actually not just talking about strategies, but also the strategic approach of implementation, so that provide guidance to each ministry on how to implement, not to leave each ministry how to do things. So that's the important.
Yeah, but we talk about execution, implementation. It's not a new story.
Yes.
It has been around for ages. Why are we not resolving this? What is the problem?
As you know, we all know that ASEAN is there, Integrated Coordination Unit and the JPN. It's purely to coordinate the brick and mortar aspect of the government projects. But even more crucial, who's monitoring the developmental aspect of the country, cross-ministerial synchronization, syndication, coordination, all that. We do have money. It was fine, but this is very cool. After 2018, the graph has now goes down.
Should we bring back commando?
We need some kind of delivery office at the GPM or PNO. Cross-ministry, Singapore is there. But now, nobody is coordinating that, and they're very much inside.
Yeah, I was looking at the competitiveness chart that Tan Sri shared. and we were number 10 in 2010. And I look back, actually that was the time when the economic transformation was most active, and Pemandu was doing all this engagement with stakeholders and all that. So why are we abandoning a project or system that has worked? Why?
I think there is not only the this coordination. The problem here is that perhaps I think the issue here is that for some reason maybe the decision on that why we give Pemandu that time. So that's the question on my mind.
Maybe that's if you want to respond to that.
I think whether Pemandu or not, one most important thing is that I would concur the idea of having a dedicated team. They are full-time, they are not for ceremonies. They are full-time every day attending all those main areas that we mentioned. An example actually I didn't show here, just to alert all of you. Last year, when the economy Madani, to be more specific, was announced, there are 7 targets. 7 targets, clearly specified in PM speech. And one of them is about the competitiveness that I showed you. There's a human development index, there is CE with the target, there are fiscal targets, But our problem is that who is attending what and when. That is what we don't know. And someone might be attending it, that's good. But the problem is that when the larger part of the society are not aware and not informed and not able to get some updates, then we probably want to create some kind of feel like not knowing what. And the other one is the uncertainty of it. Kalau contohnya, if you want to go to back to number 12, from 34 to 12, for me, as an economist who look after the country, I like to know what are, let's say, your 10 strategies that you want to improve in order to bring back to normal. I like to know who is doing that. I like to know what is the status or what is we promised to be doing. And a review and a report process. I think that is very important. You can create something like that. I actually, kalau you go to the news 1 week after Madani was announced, I'm urging for that. But for your information, there is something they call a unit Pantau Madani, DMWM. But not much you know what's going on. And who are they attending the Madani things, or are they attending the Belajar things? Are they attending what? I don't know. Last week, for example, for your information, I think there is now going around the country, I think the Madani Rakyat program di Johor, di Selatan, Azul Selatan, that covers Melaka dan Sembilan di Johor. So ada bahan yang berbeza. Cuma again, sometimes what we need is that when things go up, we celebrate. It's just like last year, when from 32 we go to 27, we say, Alhamdulillah, all that we work, all that we have done, we don't know. All that we have done is, sometimes you heard about people were saying that we all know the system in the country is that we have elections. I mean, I'm not a political scientist, but we know government bertukar-tukar for whatever reason. As long as the government established on the right constitution, saya sebagai ahli ekonomi akan bagi sepenuh support from whatever government in the country. I mean, I want to do that. I'm off from politics. While the government in and out, there's another group that stays. Understand that? So civil service has stayed. So between those who are guaranteed to stay and those who might be risking of going in and out, logically, who will be not behaving? The one who stay. Because nothing happened, I will stay. So we need to address, that's why I'm glad that we have mentioned strongly in Mapa last week. If you follow the speech very well,
before he come to the detail about announcement, there are kind of lots of things that he kind of demanding the civil service to come forward to do things differently. Because at the end of it, we have, maksud saya lah, civil service juga, we must, every one of us must make sure we deliver. That's why when I think Dato mentioned about the issue of deliveries, yeah, I think saya rasa lah, we come to the point that we almost know almost everything. If it is not 100%, we know 90%. We not only know, we have also described in the policy document 90% of things that need to be done. But I will concur with you that the challenge for us in Malaysia ialah to get it. Itu yang masalah. Jadi,
I think what you said is very correct, because when you talk about policy, execution is one, but monitoring, evaluating, feedback, communication. So I would like to go back to the panel. All this policy, economic policy, NIMP, whatever, do you think that we lack ownership and driver of these policies? Yes.
Yeah. No, I just want to add a little bit regarding this, because I think it has to do with maybe a bit sensitive, because we have one politician here, Topa, but he's not in a political capacity here. But I think the country has got this issue with, we had a change of government after many, many years. After many decades, we had a change of government. And the new government came in 2018 on a manifesto of drastic change to the previous policy. And one of it was, I think, which relates here, is the GST. Because the GST was a cornerstone of the what they call it, the opposition, then opposition policy to abolish the GST. And the GST, I understand, was abolished even before the cabinet was established. So that, and ever since then, I think many people have been trying to call back for GST, because the GST had a long history. It was studied 20-30 years before the establishment by the Treasury Tax Division. And when we started the GST, we simultaneously reduced income tax. So the tax rates on income were being reduced. That's why we introduced the GST. Then when the GST was removed, we didn't have a replacement in place. The only thing we had was the fallback on the SST, which raised a very small percentage compared to GST. And GST is not only a tax, it is a modernizing, self-implementing system where everybody looks after everybody to ensure that the tax is paid. And the tax is paid with very little effort by the government, because the machine, once it's on, is basically run by the accounting firms outside. So it was a great thing. So this relates to our revenue shortage, which Professor Azlan been saying. Our income is just not enough without the GST. And it's very hard to do this because we have a government that has to get a vote for the nation. So this is where I think if there is a deep state, we need a deep state to come and impose the GST, whoever takes over the government.
Yeah, actually I remember this GST. It was used as a scapegoat for high cost of living. That's how the politicians played. So, but the economies, they were very quiet. Economies, the top economies in the country, when this was played, I know the campaigning in the 2018 election, they say GST is the one which is responsible for your high cost of living. And the public, we're in the dark. So this again goes back to what I always written on economic literacy of the population. See, sometimes we get economists speaking only economic jargons to the population. We need to simplify this. So GST is one which did a lot of damage, and I was also wondering, I mean, literally the whole developed economies have some kind of GST, and we are abandoning it. It was really puzzling. Dato, your comment.
Just now I talked about Dato also said about the corporate standards. We are now ranked 34 or so. But how are we going to improve our competitiveness performance in the future? I think this is what my earlier point just now. I said that if you look at all the account of the economy, that something structurally has to be have to be done. That means we have to take a structural reform. If you take a point that you have mentioned just now about the GST. GST here is a cukai penggunaan. That means when you impose GST, then the consumer will bear the burden. Because we want to address the issue of fiscal problem, fiscal deficit. And if we look at our collection, tax collections, Malaysia, we rely quite significantly on the direct tax, not in the indirect tax. Unlike any other countries, this is something which is not in tandem with the international practice, or we want to benchmark with other countries. You see? So therefore, if we want to increase our revenue, especially tax revenue, then we have to put in place a good systems of indirect taxes. So I think there is no doubt about it that this GST is the solution to the problems. But again, as what Dato said just now, when we impose GST, then the burden will be on the household. Why the burden will be why household feels so much burden because of GST? And this is problem what Dato also said just now about the cost of living. Because we feel that our cost of living is so high, but at the same under the environment of low cost of living, Malaysia is a low cost of living country. But we feel high cost of living. It's not because of the price. I agree with Seri and with others. It's not because of price. Price is inflation is a general price level. Cost of living means that whether our income will be able to meet expenditure. So we will not be able to meet expenditure, then therefore we are facing cost of living problem. Therefore, our cost of living we feel high, very because cost of living is because of our household income is low, our salary is low. Then the question is why don't we pay high salary or high wages to our workers? Then another question that comes in. If we want to pay high wages, then productivity also must come together. Productivity must come together. But we look at our experience, our growth in productivity has been very disappointing. Growth in productivity is very disappointing. Then we ask ourselves, why we become like that? Productivity is what? Productivity is value added per worker. Value added per worker. So if we look at the formula value added per worker, it's because of we are producing not enough value added, and because we have too many workers. Then we look again our labor market. our high skill ratio is still there around 20%. Lingering for more than 20 years like that. See why we are unable to increase our skill ratio. Therefore, if we want to address all these issues, we have to undertake structural reform. GST or subsidy has got to be removed. Of course, not abruptly, but slowly, because the problem we are facing in our fiscal account, our household account, our government account, our balance of government account, I think it's just so huge a problem. Therefore, we have to do it step by step and slowly. And inshallah, I think if we do that with patience, we will be able to do it.
And of course, GST.
But of course, with a political will.
Yes. But GST and reducing subsidy, there are political risks. Again, back to the issue that people are not really aware of this common population.
I'd just like to say something on the subsidy, because I've been writing about subsidy over the years. Our subsidy, I think, is one of the problems that is keeping the country poor. Because we are pricing a product like our petroleum, not at the world price, but selling it to locals at a subsidized price. And we are not a Saudi or country producing very much. We are just a marginal net exporter, and yet we are subsidizing. Then the other thing about our subsidy policy, I think there was a mistake earlier. The mistake was they issued a subsidy without a dollar value. So, I mean, as a constitutional, looking at the constitutional law side, when Parliament passed an act, it should pass an act with a dollar value. So what is the dollar value that you want to subsidize your petroleum or your diesel? Instead, we left it open-ended, and that we will subsidize whatever the world price is, we will reduce to the subsidized price. So that is the thing that has caused so much burden to the country, because the Parliament has, in a way, set a rule and passed a law which it should not be able to pass, because the Parliament should only be passing. This year I subsidized diesel for 2 billion, 3 billion, whatever. But not whatever the world price is, we will bring it to that level. So, and coming back to the RON 95, I think the government should not do what they did for diesel when they want to do the thing. They should set a target. Now we have say certain subsidy, we will do it over the next 5 years or gradual way.
Talking about fuel subsidy, we are now, the whole world is moving towards carbon economy. And everybody is saying that subsidy goes against the very principle of carbon economy. So how do we change it? Maybe Nick can comment on this. How do we prepare ourselves to get into this carbon economy?
I think, as mentioned earlier also, is that carbon economy basically is the output of the green economy, meaning that we have to ask ourselves, where are we now in the green economy? If I can recall, in the 10th of 12th Malaysia Plan, we started to actually embed green economy, was in 2010. But again, as mentioned, the RFK is building a strategy. But how do we go about that? What we have done so far is very significant, is that we don't have a pathway of decoupling emission and economic growth. We don't have a pathway. That's scary. 2030 just around the corner. We don't have a pathway for that to decouple. And even you ask government agency also, they only report on the centralized numbers against percentage from the local figures. Scandinavian country, they have managed to decouple in 1998 the economic growth and the emission. So that without this pathway, how you have to leverage about the output of green economy, which is carbon? Just because we cannot just simply blindly write, if we're talking about carbon economy. Because then others will take advantage without leveraging on the benefit of the local. So we have to create the green economy first, the activity on the ground to unleash the output, the carbon reduction. So that is the perspective that goes about creating the industry of the. It goes back to the issue of creating the economic chain. If you look at the meaty sectors, it's the same sector since 70s, very traditional sector. We don't create a new sector, new economy. But our innovation is very strategic. Most often our innovation goes out beyond Malaysia because we don't have strategy on our radar screen how to actually leverage on the technology. So we lose out, especially most often to Singapore. So this is the issue about my point, systemization, bringing innovation to the market. That is our strength. We are number 36 in the last year's in the slide just now. And in the report, WIPO's report of 2023, we are second after China for high middle income nation. So our strength is there. It's just that I think the issue is know-how about creating a new industry, tech-based industry. This one we have to learn from the Korean. We were there before with them and how they managed to do. So we're not creating new tech-based industry. So when I was at Mike, I had the opportunity to work 6 months with them on technology foresight. Technology foresight is very important activity for the country to chart where is the strategy area and then chart against the local capability. In 2010, I was the national director for that, working with the Korean for 6 months to do that study for Mohd. Since then, we have not done any technology foresight. And we know technology is forefront towards high income. We don't have a strategic visibility where the next strategy is. We know about AI, but what aspect of AI is the next area, and where is our capability? So we don't have visibility of that. As a result, like always, our strategy innovation always, we start from our radar screen, lose out to our competitors. So there's issue.
So how do we address this shortcoming?
That is foresight, we have to do periodically. At least every 5 or 10 years. Technology now evolves very fast. So we need to have a technology foresight again. It's been it's been 14 years since the last exercise. So now we don't know where we are in terms of our strategic innovation. Because of that, technology foresight, it guides government where to find and where to invest our development expenditure on which innovation.
Yeah, one complaint is that we've done all this technology foresight, but what do we do with it? And the complaint is that we just leave it in the chat.
Okay.
So this is a serious complaint from the public.
Yes. As a result of that, we need to have a system of how to appreciate technology. Technology, as you say, the biggest high impact, like you always mentioned in the past, high multiplier is the super platform technology. From there are sectoral technology, and then our study cross-cut is the cross-cutting technology, which is IR 4.0. Here, we are hyping too much about IR 4.0. It's building enabler. But where is the driving on the market side to apply this IR 4.0? We are not creating the new industry flagships. We have companies like one company won a global award also on biodegradable product, which is a big market in Europe. It's a 24/7 factory. We need, when I calculate working in the company, we need 300 satellite factories just to produce standard product to Europe, biodegradable packaging. So this company do not have enough lines to support that. And then the government also now being elevated this government to form a program, contract manufacturing program to export this to Europe. Because kat Europe sekarang, when you leave your port, they pay 100% already, not right there. So this is opportunity for us to actually a program where you can actually accelerate IR40 application in smart manufacturing. So why is there such this our capability, our technology? So those are one example.
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
So that is maybe now we open it to the floor. The question, comment. Yeah, very good. Please tell us your name and microphone. Then that will go right after that.
Good morning. Thank you for the insightful talk by Azlan. At least expected it to be so candid. So I'm glad I came this morning and thank you to the wonderful panel. Now, I used to be a consultant for the largest oil and gas unit in the country. So I got some very, questions close to my heart. The first question is the data credibility of data. Official statistics says for 2.5 million, and do you see, and also on an article by Professor Jomo says there's almost 4 million, probably 3.5 million foreign workers in the country. If you really add that, your GDP per capita, your everything, all the statistics will be thrown out the window. Okay, it's not an actual reflection of the state of the economy in the country. And most of this is also mostly related to wages. Household income that is increasing, it's 85% GDP or 1.5 trillion, and it's expected to grow at 5% per annum. And at the same time, you want to remove subsidies. Okay, so this is, and at the same time, a national savings rate is at 27%. How do we reconcile all this? So that's my question to the panel, and maybe the country, Noor and begin. Thank you so much.
Okay, maybe we take another question from comment from Dato and have the panelists to respond.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you, Dato, distinguished panel and speakers. Thank you also, Dato Azlan has been posting a lot of data and information about his doing. I would like to ask the discussion to look into the box and outside the box, as well as we ponder what has been put to us today. Dato mentioned about the green economy. That was like 12 to 10 leadership plan. We are also involved in the areas where the blue economy you're talking about, the blueprint. So I was, in a way, I was disheartened from the fact that the new ministry economy, because they prepared the plan, it takes such a long time to prepare the blueprint. But what we need now is to look at the actions. You know, as you were saying, the areas where we are laggards, and you talk about to put food on the table, talk about food security, and the areas that Malaysia has been involved in the economy, for example, in the agro-fishery sector. So you look at the areas of the marine space where the total population is more at the coastal areas and the urban areas near the ports and so forth. So we bring to you what are the areas in the blue economy, as we are saying, to energize higher productivity in this area. So thank you. I ask the question to Dato.
All right. Okay.
Thank you, Prof, for highlighting the blue economy, very important aspect also. As we talked just now, we are basically desperately for growth. Growth is about high productivity. High productivity is about full-scale production and immense scale. The most challenging one of the sector is agro sector. One of the things I observe in the agro sector is that it's very much driven by the various embargoes, LKIM, all that, which is governed under the parliament, agro parliament. So most of these government agencies involved in agro sector sectors. If you look at the act, very much developed from the perspective of the operation, like perikanan. If you look at the act, which you can download easily, a lot of operation, salah ni, salah tu, all that. So less on developmental aspect of the industry. And then as a result of that, do not provide room for private sector to come in, do mass scale production. That's the issue with our food security of the country. You can go to any act, it's very much driven by the government agency, it's not by private sector driven. As a result of our private sector driven, doing on food security aspect fishery, doing well in Australia, all that, but we cannot come to Malaysia because of this act issue that do not allow for them to come in. That is, I see, one of the main challenges why, especially our blue tuna on the East Coast, is one of the highest quality, but somehow it landed in Mauritius. It cannot land in Malaysia because of certain issues. So it's a non-technical issue. It's a, I think the trade our food security, we have to look at our act, provide more room for private sector to come into mass production. We are not doing that in Malaysia. Thank you.
Okay.
I'd just like to address to what the gentleman here was mentioning about data integrity. Yes, it's true. Data integrity is a problem. Whenever you look into something behind a news report, you'll find that there is always data integrity. So as far as foreign workers figures, I agree, because in a way, when I started, when you fly in and out a few years back, they suddenly stopped that embarkation card thing. Remember? But at that time, Singapore was still having the embarkation card. So I was wondering, how are they going to monitor who is coming in and who's coming out? And of course, at that time, we had a lot of abuse. They can even stop the airport. It seems they can stop an airport, the whole computer system, while they were bringing workers. This was, I think, 2016 or something like that. Yeah. Now, the other thing you mentioned on the household income, household loans. I think Malaysia's household loan is not that serious, because a lot of the figures there contain housing loans, and a lot of our housing loans are pretty good loans. But among the lower income and the people that are under stress, as mentioned by Prof. Azlan just now, that's very true. Those who are under pressure, but they are under pressure not because of loan or whatever, but because of the expectations. You know, the car ownership and all that. That's what's causing the problem to the Malaysian consumer. The same consumer in Singapore is not having a car, so he doesn't have that pressure insurance and everything. Whereas here, we have been encouraging car ownership. So car owners are under stress when they change tires, renew insurance, or have a small accident.
Yeah, I would like to respond to the question on data as well. About the foreign number of foreign workers. Registered foreign workers is slightly or close to 2 billion. And if you ask whether the number is alright or not, they said yes, it's alright, because as long as we kept it at 50% of the labor force. 50%. And not, the 2 million is about 50%. But what happened to the unregistered one? Nobody able to answer that. You see? And if you ask me, whether the problem is serious or not, is very, very serious. Because labor market is an integral market of the whole economy. You see, if we want to really make the economy competitive, then labor market the issue of labor market must be addressed properly, and the main factor is the number of foreign workers, and we have to recognize that the unregistered one, somebody said about two times or 3 times of the registered one, of the registered foreign workers, and that is also why our salary is being suppressed, and most of us, the locals, are also are suffering from the low wages, and so on and so on and so on about the productivity. You see, so if you ask me again, what is the solution? There is no economic solution. There is no economic solution because we tried last time. Majlis Perundingan Gaji Negara want to use minimum wage as a tool to reduce the amount of foreign workers. But as we implement minimum wage, number of foreign workers is increasing. You see, so we also puzzled. What is actually happening? And therefore, I said just now, the solution is not economic solution. See, there must be a political solution. There must be some people who are brave enough to address this issue. And but the issue is very serious, as I said just now. Labor market is a serious problem, especially in especially in Sabah, because many of the high proportion of the people of the population of Sabah, they are, I don't know, I say they are not Malaysian, they are not Sabahan. You see, so they call it IM13, burung-burung. This is a real problem, but nobody dare enough to address this. So when we implement minimum wage, it's the same thing. We want to separate Sabah, Sarawak, and Peninsula for different rate, but we want to make it one rate. So whatever differences, we just ignore it. So this is not the right way of doing it. And secondly, you said about the household income. Household income, I will also relate to what Tan Sri has presented just now. So there is a quite permanent and huge disparity among states. So some states, I agree. That's why I say I agree most of what Tan Sri has said just now. But for instance, for Sarawak, it's a GDP per capita state and household income is two different things. You see? So if you look at this, when you look at Sarawak, GDP per capita is among the highest. GDP per capita among the highest, but household income among the lowest. You see? So I think that Sarawak is a rich state, but having a lot of poor people. You see, so but this is dangerous. But I don't know how to address this.
So GDP per capita may not be the right way to communicate.
No, actually GDP per capita, because inside GDP, if we learn economics, C plus I plus G plus X plus M, so that's considered GDP. Or maybe you say commercial employee plus taxes plus profit, then it becomes GDP. You see? But household income is only part of it, on the C. You see?
Yeah,
so what is important is the kesejahteraan is household income, because GDP, the income generated by the economy may be enjoyed by non-household, which is quite true, because commercial employee to GDP ratio or labor income share is about 32.4% only. You see, that means the rest is what? Is enjoyed by the owner of capital.
GDP per capita is average.
Yeah.
There may be very rich people, less poor people, but it doesn't say anything. So it's a that's right, the median. Yeah. So the issue is equitability, distribution of wealth. How do we? This is always been argued. Okay, any Now we have two. This can be only the last two because we are running short of time. Yes, Prof. Raymond.
Thank you.
Our quantum specialist. Yeah, please.
So, I'm from physics, especially quantum physics. So, I believe the poverty can be solved if we address at least these two issues. Because most of the money we get goes where? Goes to buying house, goes to car. It's too big. But already absorb a lot of the money, right? So if we can regulate the prices of housing and provide better public transport such that not everyone need to have cars, and then the money will be reduced to going to transport and going to housing. Then the money that we earn will be enough for basic expenses and also for enjoyable aspect. If we can overcome the housing and the transport.
All right.
Another aspect is the education, which is related to the value-added thing. In Korea, in China, they reverse engineer the high technology. They really know how to make it. But here we assemble, we don't learn how to make things from scratch. So this reverse engineering will create the know-how, and it will create the quality and the competitiveness of our technology. So our education should focus on reverse engineering. We need to get our hands dirty and we really need to be able to do all the details things, not just like China. They reverse engineer almost everything, they can make their own, but we can't do it. Our semiconductor industry, and then we should do that in the quantum electronics part. People know how to design circuit, all this. To be able to design all this, we need to know the...
Actually, we already have the model. South Korea, we started almost on equal terms many years ago. Let's look at how they did it. Very simple. Reverse engineering is one. Yes, Caroline.
Caroline, UCSI. I'd like to bring back to the issue of the agriculture sector. The food security, the imports are getting bigger and bigger, 70 billion a year. And also at the same time, the food waste is 60% of the landfill are from kitchen waste. It's not being treated well. You look at the farmers, they're still the same. The farmers are highly subsidized. And there's lack of economic integration, they're still doing the same thing. We have got it on land, but a lot of the other plantation, rubber, and whatnot. So, what's the way forward? I think I'm not an economist, but every time I ask the economists, they have a structural problem. So, how do you move forward?
Yeah, any quick response to that before we invite Prof. Yeah.
I think on the I can't address much of the technical issue, but one thing mentioned about the income just now, because of the pressure of house and car. Well, I think the house thing, I think there was some, I wouldn't say mistakes, but a lot of funds were converted into housing loans. During the 1960s and 70s and all that. So that's what I think led to the high cost of housing in Malaysia. So it grew partly from that. So much funds were diverted into housing. Whereas for countries that don't invest so much into housing, you won't have it, don't put so much into housing loans. You won't have such high land and house prices. And then as far as the car, I think because we had a concerted effort to promote the car industry, car ownership. And I think the car is one of the main causes of the consumer pressure that is being felt by the consumer. So we have, advertently or not, we have been, the government in the past have promoted house ownership, and not only house ownership, they put a lot of funds, so the houses are pretty luxurious, so, you know. And at the same time, they promote car ownership. And when you buy the car, everything follows from there. All the going to the mall and not, you know, not walking, you know.
Sure, just now about waste. So just to just capture what Sweden did in 98, part of the initial effort to decouple between economic emission is to introduce a landfill tax. So it needs political will to do that, because we still having landfills at this stage to become a high income economy, but it's something that should be history by now.
Okay, I think, I'm sure we all agree that we have covered quite a significant part of our economic issues. And because there are good things that Seri has mentioned earlier above the surface, and also some issues down under the surface. But I think from the discussion, we have more or less identified where the pain points are that we need to work on. So hopefully this will come into our policy brief. So finally, to recap what we have all done, and you would like to invite Dato and Mustafa to do the final say, yes, Dato.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon. This is not part of the program. Yang bagi Professor Dato, Dato Ahmad, distinguished panelist, Professor Dato Seri, Dato Faizul, Professor Azlan, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be quick. So for that reason, I have to refer to some notes. Firstly, I'm very honored to be here in the company of so many experience and people with many years of expertise and experience. I would like to congratulate UAC and UCSI for getting us together. What is important is, I think, for discussion to be objective and professional, apolitical. Since I'm out of politics, I've been out one full year. I'm not in politics anymore, neither am I in government. So I think I've been promoting objective professional dialogue, and in the last 3-4 years, I was tasked for 2 years, helping me in the Economic Council, the dealt with COVID-19, and in that capacity, we encourage a lot of discussion, dialogues with industry, with government, and then with Prof Ahmad in the last 18 months. As a very prolific writer, very quick thinker. He's contributed a lot to the debate in the newspapers in particular. He's written on many subjects. I think on average he writes 2 articles. These are published articles on economic literacy, on fossil fuel and others. So I've been working with him for the last 18 months. We've been trying to promote dialogue among intellectuals and professors. We created a platform called Friends of Sustainability, which is going quite strong. And I've been here at UAC in the last almost 1 year, starting with poverty, and it's going beyond poverty, sustainable development. And I've been telling Professor Faizul that Ghazali is such a big name. So you have to continue this legacy by having discussions like this one, not only on poverty, but also on development overall. So that's point number 1. Yeah? Point number 2, I've been around for quite some time. I've been very involved in preparing budgets, presented two plans, the 12th plan and the 9th plan, the Malaysia plan. And in my experience, there's a lot more discussion that's required to refine policy making to ensure that we get the policies out. Got lots of policy blueprints, as rightly pointed out, this issue of implementation. We fed the government also every plan produced. I think I was the chief editor of the 12th Malaysia plan. We also have an implementation plan. It's not just a plan. We also come up with a plan how to implement the 12th plan. The issue is delivery. Yeah? If you have the plan, you have implementation plan, but delivery, you're short on delivery. So that's a few views on plans. I agree with Prof. Zakariah that we need to build resilience. We have some weaknesses. Seri has highlighted some success stories. And the but, I like you presented it. You have done well, but so many buts, but 10 altogether. One of them is resilience, fiscal space. There's a need for us to build our cash balance there. In the event we face an emergency, we're going to be in some trouble. So there's certainly a need to look at our tax system, political will, indeed. I think you struck the nail on the head. There's a need to have a political will. But more so, I think we need to get together, government, private sector, academics. My view is academics in this country are not doing enough. We've done a lot, but a lot more you need to do. And perhaps the recognition from government is lacking. Yeah? Government is beginning to recognize, government getting professors to be involved in policy making. A lot more needs to be done. A lot of talent in the universities. So one reason we have this kind of program is to encourage professors to be public intellectuals. Yeah? Professors who write and promote discourse on various subjects with a view to refining policies so that we create a better Malaysia. Yeah? It's very challenging out there, geopolitical challenges, but we get together, professors, universities, government, private sector, civil society, I'm sure we can create a better Malaysia. That's the objective of everyone. We have to get out of this middle income trap. We have this window. It's not very often that we have an opportunity. In my view, things are not falling into place, but gradually getting there. Currency that is on the investment coming in, the latest Q2 numbers, some good numbers from there, 5.9%, manufacturing went up, private investment went up. The numbers are good, so there appears to be some convergence of good numbers. So, in my view, there's a window. The window, opportunity for us to come up as a country, to come up with good policies and a good plan and a good implementation plan so that we can get out of this problem. So those are my 2 points. Firstly, there's got to be more discussions of this nature. And once again, I would like to congratulate UC and UCSI for bringing us together. And secondly, in my view, there is a window, there is an opportunity. Whatever you call it, reform, you give whatever name you put to this, but there is a window, there is an opportunity, and if professors, academics, government, private sector come together, we can come up with good policies, and good people to implement those policies, inshallah, we'll be able to get out of this income trap and become a truly great country in all dimensions, not just GDP, the Human Development Index, the competitive index, and all the ranking, as you know, Madani, to framework, we're supposed to be number 12 in our competitive index. We're supposed to be number 25, so the Transparency International, the 7 dimension, 45%, we come to see, and the measure of vacancy will be only at 30%, so we've got a long way to go. Anyway, those are some words for me. I'm pleased to be here. I would like to encourage all of this, and as decided, Prof. Ahmad, to get us together, so perhaps once a reporter, to have a professional, open dialogue. I think we have to go for transparency. The issue about data is real. Yeah, we've been quarreling about how many immigrants we have. We've been quarreling about unemployment data and many others. Some data is quite robust. I was in charge of the tax department. I was in charge of collecting all those data, discussing this morning. But there's a lot more that we need to do in order to refine our data and also making sure that our policies are robust. We have the people, the brains, but it is, what's lacking is how we organize ourselves. Yeah? We have lots of clever people in Malaysia, but we have square pegs and round holes. We're not fully utilizing the talent we have in this country. And as I said once again, we have this window, we have this opportunity. Let's come together to create a better Malaysia. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.